Hey guys, this is Scott from the Clay Lab. Welcome back to our channel. If you've seen our previous videos, thanks for coming back. If you're new to the channel, we're a group of guys who are investigating all the gear, guns, equipment, and people who go into making sporting clays what it is. The other guys and I have had a great time working on this channel so far, and one of our favorite things is sitting around coming up with ideas for new episodes. Sometimes though, the ideas come from outside our group. The subject of today's episode comes from one of our viewers, Ron Meyer, and I really appreciate the comment that he left, and I really liked his idea, so we're going to go with it. What Ron wanted us to talk about was every aspect of going to your first registered shoot. We're also going to take it a step further and look at sporting clays as a whole. Some people might be new to shotgun sports in general, and we're always looking to expand the sport. We want more people to compete against and more people to go to these registered shoots. So before we dive in deeper to sporting clays, if you feel so inclined, go ahead and hit that like button. We always appreciate it when people subscribe. It helps us keep you most up to date on everything going on. And also, as you've seen today, all comments we're pretty much reading. And go ahead and let us know if you have any ideas for upcoming episodes. So first up, what is sporting clays? This is a very distinct shotgun sport. It's different from skeet and from trap. Those are going to be separate episodes that we'll go into more detail on later. But what it amounts to is that sporting clays can be thought of like golf with shotguns. You go around a course with a group of other shooters from one station to the next, usually about anywhere from 12 to sometimes 16 or more stations depending on the course. At each station, you'll be shooting at a pair of targets. Unlike skeet and trap, these targets are coming from different locations every time, and it gives you a tremendous amount of variety on any given sporting clays course. The course is always changing, and so shooting at one place from one week to the next may be completely different. So let's say your buddy invited you to go to the local sporting clays course and you really liked it. After you've been a couple times, you're starting to think about competing. The first thing to know is that all skill levels are welcome at the competitions. You don't have to be a pro shooter to go and have a great time. The group that brings together all competitive sporting clays shooters in the United States is called the National Sporting Clays Association. The NSCA organizes shooters into different classes based on skill level. This ranges all the way from master class at the very top down to E class at the bottom, and even a hunter class for people that just want to come and compete just casually at an event. Once you've decided that you're going to compete, the next step is to register on the NSCA website. Now this part can be just a little bit confusing because the NSCA shares a website with the NSSA, which is the National Skeet Shooting Association. Be sure to follow the links to the sporting clays part of the website. Once you're on the site, navigate up to the Members tab and go down to Sign Up and Renew. From here, it's a fairly straightforward registration process. You'll want to do the new member enrollment online, and you can select all these various categories. One nice perk of membership is that you get a subscription to Clay Target Nation magazine, which I find pretty entertaining and informative. Within a day or two, you should receive an email with your NSCA number, and then it's time to find a competition. If you have a local range, contact them and they'll let you know which website to go to register. But the two most prominent that I encounter the most are Scorechaser and Nsca. Both of these are excellent websites and have fairly similar features. Today, since I use it a little bit more often around here, we're going to talk about Scorechaser. Once you've registered with their website, you have the opportunity to use their search feature. In this case, I'm going to look up Deep River, which was one of the first clubs I went to, and we're going to go ahead and register for the fun shoot. Please ignore my mailing address unless you're going to send me something cool. You go ahead and select the different options. In this case, we're going to do a morning and afternoon event. And then at the end, you either pay or deposit, or you can just go ahead and register. Then, just like that, you're registered for the tournament. You'll see now when you search for different competitions that it pops up with that little blue tab to show you that you can update your registration. And that gives you a chance to go in there and change things around. It's a pretty nice user interface on this website. You get a nice map showing you where the range is located in case you haven't been there before. And I just find it pretty user-friendly. Now, let's say the day of the tournament has arrived. The next thing that you're going to do is check in and find a squad. Now, Don't worry if you don't know other people who are going to be at the tournament. Most of us started out just shooting by ourselves, and that's how I got involved with this group of guys. When you arrive, just let the person putting on the shoot know that you need a group to shoot with, and they'll set you up. Next up, you'll want to figure out how you're going to get around the course. Depending on where you're shooting and what kind of climate it is, it can actually make a pretty big difference. And there have been many times where I've decided to walk a course and I end up pretty tired at the end. So if the squad mates that you're joining have a vehicle for you to ride in, then great. And if you need to rent a cart, I would recommend checking that out too. That being said, there are plenty of people who decide to walk the course, and that's totally fine. You'll find there are a variety of ways to get around, everything from golf carts to UTVs, and that's a subject for another video coming up soon. Once you've figured out how you're going to get around, the next step is to get all of your gear together. There are a few critical things that you'll need to bring with you. Some of them are obvious, like your shotgun. Other things are a little bit less obvious. Clearly, everyone has to wear ear and eye protection with any sort of shooting sport, but a hat is fairly unique to sporting clays and it protects you from any flying debris. With ammunition, it's really important to bring extra with you. A good rule of thumb that I use is I bring an entire extra box. You never know when you're going to have to reshoot a pair. Now, this brings up a good point. There are two different types of pairs in sporting clays. The first is a report pair. The shooter will call pull and engage the first target. As soon as they pull the trigger, the trapper will release the second target. The other type is a true pair in which both targets are released simultaneously. In case you're wondering, they'll have a sign at each particular station as far as whether you're shooting report pairs or true pairs. Now that we're out on the course, this is a good opportunity to talk about squad dynamics and what your roles are expected to be within the group. First off, there's a group of shooters up here ahead of us, and we're going to give them some respectful distance to allow them to finish up. That includes not rumbling past them in the UTV or golf cart, and to just generally be respectful. Now, it's definitely okay to watch them shoot. It can actually give you some good ideas of how you might want to engage the targets, but make sure that you're not encroaching on them too much. What the other guys and I are going to do in this segment is show you what an entire station of sporting clays looks like. This is to give you an idea of what everyone's role is in this process. Now, when you go to your first shoot, especially if everyone knows that you're new, they're going to help fill you in on this, so don't really feel too much pressure. Everyone will tell you that the best part of sporting clays is the people. Everyone is super nice, super helpful, and don't be afraid to ask. This doesn't need to be an intimidating process at all. Now, you'll notice that as soon as we arrived at the station, Jeremy went right up to the stand. And that's because he knew he was up first. And that's tip number one, know the shooter order. One reason why that's so important is that if you're up second, you're essentially on deck. You want to make sure that you know if you're the next shooter so that you can have all the ammo in your pocket ready to go, and make sure that you can step right up onto that stand. Also, if you're the second guy up, you have the opportunity to watch over the first guy's shoulder, and you want to really be mentally preparing. Now, if you're not up next, what you should really be considering doing is helping out your squad, either acting as the trapper or the scorekeeper. Here you can see Jeremy is actually acting as a trapper, and CJ is just to my right, keeping score. As I mentioned before, if this is your first competition, feel free to ask the other people in your group questions. They'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Here's a typical scorecard. What's not typical here is how good the score is. I definitely don't shoot this well on a regular basis, but of course that's why I picked this card to show you. Main thing to see is that hits are the little diagonal crosses that you see on there, and you put a 0 for any missed bird. If you're the person keeping score, for each pair, you're going to announce whether it's a hit or miss. The typical way of doing this is dead or loss. So what you'll typically say is something like dead pair, lost pair, dead loss, or lost dead. By saying that out loud, it gives a shooter a chance to let you know if they think there might be a mistake, and more importantly, it gives your squad mates a chance to let you know if they saw a chip or if they disagree with the call. This leads me into our fourth point, which is to try to pay attention while your squad mates are shooting. This is for a whole variety of reasons. First and foremost, you can learn an awful lot by shooting with other people. You can see where they've chosen their break point, where their hold point is. These are all things that you'll pick up on over time, but you can learn a tremendous amount from other shooters. Another important reason to pay attention is that even a small chip coming off of a target counts as a broken target. By that same token, if the target was not hit, if it was just a wad that somebody was seeing, it's important that someone was paying close attention to that target so they can make a definitive call on that. It can really feel like a long day on the course sometimes, and the temptation's always there to look at your cell phone or chat with your squad members. One thing to point out, though, is that if at least one person's not paying close attention, when one of these issues arises, you don't have anyone that can contribute and help solve the matter. At the end of the day, we all want to leave with an accurate score and feeling good about that score. You can see in this example that everyone's doing a nice job of that. The other thing I want to go ahead and point out is that as soon as Jeremy was done shooting, he immediately rotated to take over the trapper position, and that's tip number 5. When you're done shooting, people are really going to appreciate it if you take over a responsibility on the squad. Just like Jeremy took over trapping, you're going to see me taking over the scorecard from CJ so he can get ready. He's taking off his jacket there, Superman style, so you can tell he's ready for business. As you can see, he's getting his gun and all of his equipment ready, and he's going to be right ready to go as soon as Jeremy's done on the stand. You'll also see him take up a position just behind Jeremy, but not too close, and you'll see him using his hand to kind of plan out his shot. And we won't go into too much detail on how to break clays on our channel. There are about 100 people that can do it better than us, but pay attention to what other people tell you about pre-shot routines. It really makes a big difference, and I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, that gives you a pretty good idea of how a typical station will go. I won't make you watch the entire thing, of course, but hopefully you found this interesting and informative if you're new to Sporting Clays. If you're not new to Sporting Clays, if you've been doing this for a while, please hit the comment section. Let me know if there are any good points that I missed. Let me know if you disagree with anything that I said. This has kind of been my experience and my squad's experience, but we definitely want everybody's input and want to get as much good information out there as possible. The final point that we wanted to make here at the Clay Lab is to go out there and have a good time. That's at the heart of any sport. And it doesn't matter if you do great in the competition or if you have a lousy day, as long as you're enjoying good company and doing something that you love, that's what really matters. Thanks for sticking with us through the episode. A quick word about what we have coming up soon. We want to do another video similar to this on large tournaments. We want to cover all the side events and how those work. We also want to cover the various options that you can pick when you register, things like class option, and we'll go into a full explanation of that. We're pretty much trying to get at the subjects that confused all of us when we were first getting started out. We're not going to pretend to know everything there is to know about sporting clays or shotgun sports in general, but what we're going to do is commit to providing you with accurate information and share what we've learned during our journey.